Good morning, everyone. In today's session, we will be talking about Module 5. In the last class, we are done with Module 4, and from today's session, we will be talking about Module 5. So let's have an overview about Module 5. What is that we are going to learn, discuss in Module 5? So Module 5 talks about Hadoop related tools. And as you can see, there are four tools. One is HBase, Cassandra, Pig, and Hive. So we are going to talk about these four tools. And don't dream that only these are the four tools that Hadoop ecosystem has. So Hadoop ecosystem has a number of tools which is being offered for each has its own purpose. But as per our syllabus, we will be talking about only these four modules, only these four tools like HBase, Cassandra, Pig, and Hive. And one more thing to be noted is when you talk about all these four tools like HBase, Cassandra, Pig, Hive, all these tools are related to database, right? All these tools are related to database. I hope we will be discussing about only the database tools. And again, all these four are open source project tools. I hope you know the meaning for the open source. What is mean by open source and what does the open source project mean? Okay, so this is what the overview of the topics that we are going to discuss in this module 5. And now let's start with the HBase and see what are the things that you're going to cover in HBase. See, we had a small introduction to HBase in the last session. Like HBase stands for Hadoop database, and the other thing is like HBase is a column-oriented database, and which executes, I mean, which resides on top of the Hadoop file system, Hadoop distributed file system. And next point is like HDFS. When you talk about HDFS, and what is the before getting into this like a scaling, a scalability, sharing, and let us recall a few more things that which we have discussed in module 2. See, what is the need of these non-relational database systems? Why we need these non-relational database systems? And what is that earlier database systems what doing? And why they have become out of the market, and why this non-relational database systems are playing a vital role in the market. See, when initially when it was earlier in 1970s, and the data which is being generated from web sources and from applications are a little bit less. We don't have that much internet resources data. But as of today, if you see, for each and everything, we use internet. For example, I just want to know the distance between from Bangalore to Mysore. I just go to Google and browse. And I just want to know some other things like what about this lockdown, either it does get over or not. I'll just go to Google and I will browse. So I need for each and every thing, I need an instant response. I need an instant result. Okay, I don't want to wait for a long time to know a result to get a response from my mission, that is system. So we need instant responses for each and every application and each and every query that we post to Google. So thereby Google and Amazon, I can tell like Google and Amazon, they are the two big companies which came out with non-relational database systems. I mean, which has proposed a database schema for um, parallel or scalable data processing, and whereby it became success with big data analytics. So as of now, in the trend, I mean, data science is a trend, right? Data science and other technologies like IoT and AI, business intelligence, machine learning. So these all technologies are playing a major role in the present market. And in this If you take Google and Amazon, Google has this big data parallel processing system, and even these Google and Amazon has recommendation systems, and they do ranking systems, and they perform ranking, and based on that, where you can see the responses in your mission from your search engines. Even we have many search engines like Google, Yahoo, Bingo, and few more search engines are there. Only Google is always at the top. And why it is so? And even we have a number of shopping sites like Amazon, Flipkart, eBay, and also few more sites are there, but like Mantra. It is something we have few more sites. But if you see, Amazon is always at the top when comparing to other websites. And just have a look on it, okay, and have a look on those web stores, and just see how it is different from the other web stores. So where in the present today's digital media, in present today's digital market, where we are getting more than petabytes of data in a day, and I need some kind of analytic algorithms to analyze those data. I need some storage area to store this data and to process it in a faster manner. And that is where that relational database model fails to do this. And the major problem with relational database model is scalability. And second is retrieval of data when the data is getting little bit larger. And these are the major two problems which is given away for non-relational database systems into a market. And the other difference is when you talk about the relational database like RDBMS, SQL, and it always like a row oriented database, and these are column oriented database. And the thing is that when the data size is getting little bit larger, when you want to access the data, this column oriented data store supports much better in retrieving the data when comparing to row oriented databases. And it is where these databases has been emerged, and they are playing a vital role in the present today's market. Okay, and also it supports automatic failover, and this is being written with a simple Java program as what we do with the MapReduce framework. And this thrift Auro REST web services, this we shall discuss once when you move for a data implementation. And one more thing is like what does where HBase excels is. HBase excels at providing key based, that is when you talk about MapReduce, I will be talking about key value, key based access to specific a specific cell of data or a sequential range of cells. So this is where the Excel HBase excels in a non-relational database. And next we shall talk about sharding. And even though regarding sharding we have discussed in module 2, let us recall it what is called sharding and what you are going to do with sharding. And if which the module 2 you talked about NoSQL database systems, that is like not only SQL, and it is also an column oriented database, and where it has sharding this property. And sharding is describes the logical separation of records into horizontal partitions. So this is where the sharding is achieved in a non-relational database. And here the idea of this sharding is to spread data across multiple storage files or servers, multiple storage files or servers, and multiple files of servers. So where you can see that failover rate is reduced when comparing to the other database systems. Okay, so this is a small introduction to HDFS, and now let get into little bit depth. So where to use HBase and where HBase not to be get used. So it can be used only for large amounts of data, and when it is, I mean, if you're doing some kind of query with smaller database systems, I think SQL is more enough to do. We don't require any specific databases like Apache, Hive, or HBase, or even the other two like Pig or etc. And when not to use these HBases, and we can't apply this for traditional database schemas, or which you would apply with transactional applications, and it will not work for text based search access. Like, and if you want to do specifically with the text based search access, we have specific database systems where which works only for that purpose. And here you can see a comparison between row oriented storage and column oriented storage, and thereby you can see SQL schema. So when you talk about row oriented storage, the data will be get organized in a row oriented manner. So whereby I can see row 1, row 2, row 3, right? I can see row 1, row 3, row 3. There's a row oriented database. And if I take like SQL schema for this, like I will be getting UID, and I will be getting next URL, and this is where you call attribute, like you can relate three terms: row, column, table. Row, column, table is nothing but double attribute relation. Okay, and we talk about column oriented data, so you can see column 1 talks about this URL, and this column 1 talks about URL of that particular ID, and particular title, and particular description, and particular content, right? And when I want to retrieve some set of data, I want to retrieve some set of data from my database, I can pass a query, I can get the data. And this column oriented data storage supports much better in retrieving the data from the database when comparing to the other normal row oriented database system. And HBase is a column oriented database, and it's an open source implementation of Google's Big Table, which I have discussed earlier. And this manages structured and semi-structured data, but not specifically unstructured data. But even HBase can handle unstructured data, and HBase uses one more open source project called Apache Zookeeper. And regarding that, let us discuss at the end of the HBase architecture. Okay, and next point is it uses write ahead logic, and here this write ahead logic it is called as HLOG. And when you talk about architecture, where you will be talking about, it is called HLOG. And HBase built on top of Hadoop or HDFS. The data stored in HBase can be manipulated using MapReduce capabilities. And here you can see a database, and that you can categorize with respect to like row oriented and column oriented, and which is highlighted with red color, which shows you with respect to row ID, and which is highlighted with light green color, which shows you with respect to column oriented database. And now let's have a difference between those two things. So when you talk about row oriented data store, and to retrieve the data, takes some more time when comparing to a column-oriented database. And again, it is easy to read and write record, and it is suited for OLTP, online transactional processing systems. And one thing is like it is not efficient in performing operations like latency operation, where you want the things to be done within a short given time period, where you want to respond within a given time period, and where if you are getting some data which is not just of not in the proper format, then handling this data become a challenging task. I just want to tell you one more thing. See, the basic idea is like when you talk about this relational database and non-relational database. If I talk about relational database, and if I'm going to get some value from my data source or from my application, I know that what type of data that I'm going to get, right? For example, if I'm going to get a value for a attribute age, then it is going to be of type integer. I mean, I know that what kind of what type of data that I'm going to get into my data field. But when you talk about this non-relational database, so there I may not be that is unstructured text. In unstructured text, I will not be knowing what kind of data that I will be getting. I mean, what type of data that I will be getting. The data that I'm getting maybe of integer, or maybe of float, or maybe of text, or maybe of character, maybe of some other thing. Even I can get combination of these things, and that is where the main. I mean, that is where the main thing. That is where the main idea, what which makes like a relational database and non-relational database. So column-oriented data stores, and here retrieval of data is little bit good and faster than row-oriented, and it is suited for online analytical processing systems like and it can perform efficient operations. And one more thing, when you talk about this column oriented, you need not worry about that ACID property. Like when you talk about this normal SQL databases, there we have the term called ACID properties, which you discussed earlier in module 2. And the difference between relational databases and HBase. So it is based on fixed schema. It is schemaless. That is what I told you. And one example for this is I know what type of data that I'm going to get for the given text field. But in this case, I may not be knowing what kind of data that I'm going to receive. That is the other thing. And that is a row-oriented data store, and it is a column-oriented data store, and it is designed to store normalized data. And here we don't have any particular property like normalization or normalize. We don't have anything like normalize. What normalization does? Normalization helps us to make sure that we don't have any duplicate, we don't have any replicate of the data, right? And also which makes sure that the way we maintain a proper relational in our database schema. And it contains thin tables, it contains wide and sparsely populated tables. When you talk about column oriented data store, it is become large. This I will make you understand when I move to HBase architecture. Okay. And last point is like has no built-in support for partitioning, but here it supports automatic partitioning. And now let us try to know the difference between HDFS and HBase. See, as the name both represents Hadoop distributed file system, and here it represents Hadoop base, HBase, Hadoop database. Okay, and the first thing is like HDFS is suited for storing larger files, and it is HDFS is designed to support batch processing of data, but the drawback is like it does not able to provide fast individual record lookups. But whereas when I talk about HBase, it is built on top of HDFS and is designed to provide access to single rows of data in a large table. So it is where the difference between HBase and HDFS. And it is suited for high latency operations, batch processing. See, normally when I talk about the latency, like a latency operation, so it is the time that you require, the time it is taken to respond once if you post a query from that time period to the time period which that is required till when we get response from the mission. And HBase is built for low latency operations. And second point is your data is primarily accessed through MapReduce, and here it provides access to single rows from multiple billion, more even more billion of records. And it is designed for batch processing, and it is also does the same thing. But in addition to that, we'll be accessing the data with shell commands. And regarding this APIs, let us talk a little bit later. So HBase architecture. So as the name resembles Hadoop database and HBase, and both the Hadoop architecture as well as HBase architecture has two things. One is the master node and second one is the slave node. And where in Hadoop we talk about name node and data node. So one will be acting as like a master and second will be acting as like a slave. Similarly, here too in HBase architecture, we have the same master-slave relationship. So here we have one master node in HBase cluster called master node. It is called H master, and multiple region servers that is called H region server. Okay, like where in Hadoop we will be calling as name node and data node. And here the master node is H master and the slave node is H region server. And let's see how it works. And just again, as like in a relational database, this year also we use tables. Those tables are called as regions. If that table is if the table is, I mean, if the table wants to be get enlarged, the table wants to be get increased, then one more region will be created. Then one more region will be allotted. By this scalability, whereby the database can be scaled to database can be get keep on scaling. Database can be scaled and to fulfill the requirements of your database or data tables. And let's see it. And this is architecture for HBase, and thereby you can see one master and all the other are slaves. And this is the major one that is called H master, and which is responsible for admin operations, which monitors the clusters, which manages and which monitors the region servers. Okay. So which monitors the clusters, which assigns regions to region servers, and which controls load balancing and failover. And to avoid a failover in map Hadoop HDFS file system, we have one thing called secondary name node, which supports in avoiding the failover. I mean, like when I have one master node called name node and multiple slaves or multiple other nodes called data node, and if any of the data node is getting failed, and I can if even when any of the data node is getting failed, your data will not be lost, but your copy of the data will be there on the other clusters. So where you can get the data, where this will be maintaining the replica of the data. But in case if the master node gets failed, then how come the scenario gets balanced? So thereby we have one additional node called a secondary name node. And in absence of this name node, that will be acting as like a master node. But the idea is like this, but it is not meant to replace the master node. It acts only when that gets failed, only in those cases that works. And here too we have each region server. You can take it as like a region 1, region 2, a region 3, region 4. In case if I'm getting few more data, which if I'm getting few more data sets, I just want to increase my data set at a larger size, then I can add one more region server. Right? Within that I can have multiple regions. It is something called like areas, right? And what does this hlog means? As we have told you in the last slide. So hlog, each region server contains a write ahead log, write ahead log. That is called hlog. So what are the responsibilities of master in doing this? One is performing administration. Second, managing, monitoring the cluster. Not only the cluster and also the region servers. So monitoring and managing the region servers, assigning regions to region servers. Once if the region server is get full, then you can create one more region server. A new region server will be allowed to use for the upcoming data assets, and controlling the load balancing and failover. And these are responsibilities for master. And here it is a little bit detailed architecture of HBase. And here we have the new term called zookeeper. And let us know the purpose of zookeeper. See, zookeeper, you can take it as like a Apache zookeeper. So what zookeeper does? Zookeeper is an open source project. It is Apache open source project, and which comes as open source project, and which is required or which is a main part of this HBase. And HBase uses Zookeeper for a separate thing. So let's see, like Zookeeper offers file systems like access with directories and files. File means it that is called Z nodes. And what is the role of here is HBase uses this zookeeper to ensure that uh, there is only one master running to store the bootstrap location for region discovery and even for other purposes. So this HBase uses Zookeeper to ensure that master there is only one master running at a time. So again, it is a H master. We have only one H master. We don't have any additional H master, or we don't have supporting H masters. And here I have two region servers. And again, in this I can see region. In this I can see hlog store file. So this is store file Hadoop file. This is store file, and this is store file. And let us going to communicate. And this is going to pass this DFS client, that is distributed file system, and whereby you can see the data nodes are getting connected. Okay, and again it is connecting to Hadoop. Hadoop has these two things. One is called this data node, and one more thing is called master node, that is called name node. Okay, name node. See, again, it is relating something like HBase and Hadoop. HBase that rests on top of HDFS, on top of Hadoop distributed file system, right? And we talk about Hadoop, I talk about data node and name node. And here HMaster is the uh, master node, and here name node is the master node. And here each region server is the slave, and here data node is the slave. And from where we're going to get into DFS client and there into store file. So it is in this diagram represents you the detailed architecture of HBase. And the next we'll be talking about you can see that HBase basically adds two kind of files. One is write ahead log, which is called as H log. Okay, H log which is called as H log, which is called as H log, and which is handled by the region servers. But in some scenarios, like you can see that that is again connected to Hadoop. Like as the meaning of HBase, we call Hadoop database, which runs or which resides on top of HDFS, top of Hadoop distributed file system. And this is about the architecture of HBase. And each all the data structure, all the data stores, all the databases can be designed like data model, storage model, physical model, relational model, something like that. And when I talk about a data model, how the data are going to interact in my database, how the data are going to communicate, how I'm going to process those data in my data set, that is called data model. In the next, we will be talking about data model and implementations in HBase. Okay, so as of now, we have discussed what is called HBase and why HBase. What is the difference between HBase and other databases? And what is the difference between RDBMS and HBase? What is the difference between Hadoop and HBase? And we have talked about column-oriented and row-oriented data store. And one more thing we talked about is HBase architecture. And in architecture, we have two most important things. One is H master, other one is H region. If you take Hadoop, Hadoop has same two things, master and slave. One is called name node, the other one is called data node. Okay, and where we have to use HBase and where we are not supposed to use HBase, that we have discussed. And next we'll be talking about in depth about Apache Zookeeper. And HBase uses Apache Zookeeper to ensure that only one master runs at a time, right? And so that it has to ensure that no failover is there. And failover means like no node should be get failed, no data should be get lost, no data should be get corrupted. The data should be protected such a way that the data should be made available whenever a query is passed or whenever user requests for the data. Okay, so this is about introduction to HBase and HBase architecture.